It's a turn of events. One city backs out of the Chicago to Rockford passenger rail service, citing a number of reasons as to why. WIFR reporter Alyssa Kelly meets with the project leaders to learn why the village of Huntley declined to have a train station and how it could impact the future of the rail service.
It didn't come as a shock to some, but for others,
we were a bit surprised.
The village of Huntley notified the Illinois Department of Transportation it would back out of being a stop on the Chicago to Rockford passenger rail line.
We didn't realize that they were going to just say we don't want a station.
In a statement to WIFR, Huntley Village Manager David Johnson says on September 12th of last year, the village board discussed rail service with IDOT officials, and a number of concerns were brought up by board members. He goes on to say those concerns included the impact on downtown traffic, initial and future parking requirements, ridership, and financial commitments required by the village.
We're moving forward.
But Scott Spiegel with IDOT says the village of Huntley foregoing a train station will not impact the project.
Plans are the same in terms of the schedule, where we're planning on starting construction next year and then getting service started by the end of 2027.
He adds Huntley residents will mainly be the ones impacted by this decision.
We did anticipate ridership between Elgin and Rockford and Huntley and Belvedere, and so it wasn't just Chicago-Rockford.
In fact, IDOT anticipated more than 200 riders to use the train station in Huntley. But IDOT says just because one town backed out does not mean another can't jump on.
There have been some other communities along the corridor that have expressed interest in having a train stop.
In the state line, Alyssa Kelly, WIFR News.
Spiegel says they will either revisit the village of Huntley or reach out to other communities interested in the train station after the rail line is already in service.